Being a world premiere, is there more pressure on the production to get it right for the writer?
Doing a world premiere is one of the greatest privileges as artists. And also it's challenging because there's no record to go back to. Or I wonder what they did in the last production. Well, we don't have a last. We are the first production. And our playwright lives in the Canary Islands. So we're hoping, and he's written a lot of very detailed information within the text that we're looking at and we're using. So we'll be eager to see what he thinks when he sees photographs, or because he's not going to be able to join us, unfortunately. But we hope that he would be very, very pleased.
Being the world premiere of the comedy, there is pressure. There's pressure. We're figuring it out, and it's a lot easier to figure it out when you have some kind of baseline. So it's fun, we're having a great time, but you got to really enjoy that free fall of like, I have no idea, let's throw this at the wall and see what sticks. And like, you really got to follow your instincts. But the pressure is definitely on. The pressure is on.
The pressure is definitely on. Because Peter obviously is a writer. It's a show about writers. Mm-hmm. I feel like now that we are playing writers, we understand even more so the importance of these words and the hours put in, and not even hours, the months and the years put in. So I always just feel such an obligation and responsibility to the playwright to begin with, but now knowing that we're the first to do it, it's like, oh, please just like the show, please. And normally, you're right, there's some sort of like template, that you can look at, or where the jokes are, how something's supposed to land. And I think we're still finding those jokes, which is exciting because every day in rehearsal there's something new to laugh at. But there's pressure to that too, at least for me. It's like, I don't want to go into opening night feeling like I've lost or haven't found a moment yet.
I think one of the challenges of doing something that's never been done before are demanding. But it's also freeing because we can figure it out and we're not trying to follow what somebody else has done with it. We may not be doing what the writer had in mind, but I don't know that we ever are. But we're not trying to match something that somebody else has done. We're trying to create it on our own and come up with these characters on our own and figure it out for what works with us. And whenever you're doing a work, even if it's not a new piece, you've got all of the actors that you're working with, and all of these people are all really, this is a great cast. And they each bring themselves to the characters that they're creating. It was enormous fun the first time we read it through. Mm-hmm. And I suddenly heard how each of you were doing these characters, and I go, oh, this is fun. And that's always the fun thing, whether it's a new play or not.
Yeah, it's challenging doing a world premiere show. I think it's specifically challenging doing a world premiere comedy because no audience has ever laughed at this before.
And hopefully they will now.
Right, and you have to really trust the playwright, and you have to trust the first time that we read it through that the laughs that we had were genuine, and remembering, oh, this was funny the first time we read it. This was funny the first time that we heard it. So maybe other people will think it's funny the first time they hear it. And I think that, and trusting the fact that we're working with incredibly talented actors, and we have an incredibly talented director, Jane Page, and we're really, really working on such incredible words that Peter came up with. And trust comes into play when doing a world premiere, for sure.
You go. You sort of.
But I think all of this
I
just hit the mic, I'm so sorry. Because you maybe. But this also, though, I think it just made me have a good thought, which is that the goal is to always approach every play or every piece of text, even if it's Shakespeare and it's been done for hundreds and hundreds of years, to approach it with the same eye as we do new work. We have to always think that it's never been done before because we've never done it before. We've never done it with this cast in this space. That you're right, that does give you a lot of freedom versus going into something with some preconceived notion of how it's supposed to be. There are a lot of plays I've seen, especially something like classical work where it's done often, where you're like, it's always done that way, but there's nothing in the text that makes it need to be done that way, other than that's how people have done it in the past, so. Okay, now it's your turn.
I was just gonna say, to Eric's point, you know, doing a new comedy, you hit that point 3 weeks in where you've said the jokes 100 times and you sort of lose your barometer. And
Yeah.
you're like, I hope this is funny, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's gonna be funny.
But
It's gonna be
It's
funny.
gonna be funny.
It's gonna be
It's
funny,
gonna be
guys.
very funny.
It's gonna be funny.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm working on a comedy is to try to make a bet with myself as to what our first laugh will be.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not always right.
You make a bet, I'll put $5 in the pot.
Yeah.